Mitch and Jack, best friends, are driving on an unnamed road in the middle of nowhere at night. Both seem blooded and panicked. In the morning, Mitch looks at a photograph of his daughter, Catherine, before spotting a floating creature in the distance. Soon after, they arrive at a gas station where Sutter works as a cashier. Upon entering, she gives the men an intimidating look as they take refuge. Jack refreshes himself in the bathroom, his body covered in scars and deep wounds. Mitch waits patiently for his friend in the dining area while Sutter keeps her eyes fixed on him. Suddenly, an earthquake occurs, but no one else inside the station notices anything. When Mitch looks out the window, the mysterious creature is still waiting outside. Jack survives the attack and runs out with his friend. Provocatively, Sutter tells them to come back anytime. Mitch loses his patience and gets out of the car. After arguing, Mitch decides to go on foot while Jack returns to the car with two creatures watching them. When Jack gets in, one of the beings quickly flies to the car and drags him out in seconds. The creature kills Jack through his mouth and leaves. Once he dies, before taking one last look at his friend, Mitch follows the creature, believing it to be his destiny. The creature leads him to a nearby motel and to room 6225. Upon entering, Mitch sees traces of blood on the wall, but the sight doesn't deter him from exploring the place. Mitch feels a sense of confusion as the interior looks very familiar, similar to his home. He examines other corners of the room and hears a girl calling him dad. Then an apparition of Catherine appears from behind, but runs as Mitch tries to approach her. The whole situation torments Mitch, trapping him in the house's seemingly endless corridors. Meanwhile, in the next room, three girls named Sadie, Kim, and Ava, who are part of a rock band, prepare for their next show and hit the road. During their trip, they stop at famous landmarks to take pictures and have some fun. When they're back on the road, out of nowhere, one of the tires bursts, forcing them to stop on the road. As they don't have a spare tire, they try to contact friends for help, but none are available at the moment. Even the phone's GPS fails to detect their location, leaving them in an even more difficult situation. Despite this, Kim remains in good spirits and suggests they share a drink while waiting for help. After hours stranded on the road, a car finally passes by. Inside is a friendly couple, Dale and Betty, who offer them a ride. Sadie politely declines and informs the couple that they are used to sleeping in their van. As the couple drives away, Kim changes her mind and yells for them to stop, telling her friends that this is their best chance of getting help. Along the way, the group of friends and the strange couple get to know each other better. While in the back seat, Sadie spots a bear trap and asks about it. According to Dale, they keep it there for coyotes and have oddly lived in the same place. Finally, they arrive at the couple's house, and the girls are warmly welcomed. Betty even takes them to a nice room where they can stay as long as they want. Before Betty leaves them alone, Sadie hears her mention the name of her late friend and band partner, Alex, which she finds very strange as they hadn't mentioned her name at all. Later that night, the Kensingtons Raymond, Bunny, and their twin children come for dinner. Before the meal, they join in prayer. But when Ava says Amen, the family looks at her with disgust as apparently they were not praying to God. They are served a weird burnt meat roast at the table. But Sadie, being a vegetarian, politely refuses. After dinner, Ava prepares for a hot bath, and mysteriously, a shadow passes behind her in the window. However, she doesn't notice anything. Sadie finds a pocket knife in a drawer in the room, but then puts it away. She expresses her thoughts about feeling uncomfortable in the house and that they should be on the road to get to their show on time. Not long after, Kim starts blaming Sadie for the death of their friend Alex. While explaining how she didn't leave Alex on the night of her death, Kim starts vomiting a black substance, just as Ava does in the bathroom. Shocked by the sight, Sadie runs to the living room for help, but the families don't seem disturbed by it. Smiling, Bunny says that the first time is always the worst. Dale finally stands up to serve a glass of white liquid medicine, which he lets Ava and Kim drink. The two then drink the liquid in sync. Both act strangely as time passes, refusing to leave the house or the overly friendly couple. Despite Sadie's pleas, they remain indifferent, causing her to go to the bathroom. Inside, She looks at old photos of the band and cries over Alex's death. Moments later, she returns to the room where she sees the twins standing at the window a little further ahead. Immediately, Sadie closes the window and protects herself with the pocket knife she found earlier. She sits next to the bed and eventually falls asleep. Sadie dreams of Alex asking her why she left her before being killed in a car accident. When Sadie wakes up, Ava and Kim are no longer in bed. She looks out the window and sees her friends following the two families around a bonfire while participating in a satanic ritual. As they chant, Betty, Dale, Bunny, and Raymond cut themselves and use their blood to draw a symbol on the girls' foreheads. After a triangular symbol is drawn on them, Ava and Kim's eyes suddenly transform, just like the others. While watching the ritual up close in a bush, Sadie's foot gets caught in the bear trap from before, causing her to let out a muffled scream by hand. She frees herself from the trap and takes refuge in a small shed. Shortly after, Alex's ghost emerges from the shadows to scare Sadie. Frightened, she runs back to the road, hoping that some help will eventually appear. Meanwhile, a man named Lucas drives down the road while talking on the phone with his wife, which causes a major distraction on the road. Because of this, Lucas accidentally runs over Sadie, who is asking for help. Still in shock, he decides to get out of the car and see Sadie still alive, but in agony. Lucas calls 911 for help, but can't tell the operator where he is. Not even his cell phone can detect the location using GPS, so the operator connects him to the emergency medical service. He obeys her orders and rushes off with Sadie. After a long stretch of nameless road, he arrives at a local hospital in the heart of the town. Lucas carries Sadie's body inside the facility and realizes the hospital is completely abandoned. After several empty rooms, he finally reaches an operating room where he can lay Sadie down. Suddenly, her right knee ruptures and falls from her upper leg. Already in desperation and not knowing what to do, Lucas hears the paramedic instructing him to intubate Sadie. At this point, Sadie continues to writhe as her body loses more and more blood. Finding the intubation kit, he inserts the tube through Sadie's bloody mouth, struggling to find the correct position. Suddenly, a third voice replaces the paramedics and claims to be a professional surgeon. The voice makes Lucas place his hand inside the poor girl's body to manually compress her lungs and keep her breathing. Afterward, the voice instructs him to make an incision just below her rib cage. Subscribe our YouTube channel for more interesting videos.